Hi ladies, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm excited that you guys are joining us today. And again, we are going to focus a little bit on nutrition today. So if you guys watched the previous videos and you enjoyed it, then please make sure to subscribe to our channel. There's a little button on the bottom. You can click on that, and then also hit the bell icon. You guys can leave us some questions, leave us some info, some feedback, and we're happy to answer and get back to you on that. Right. So if you were able to watch some of the previous videos, we have been talking about nutrition, what the connection is between our emotional state and food, and how we can balance that so that we can actually have good, healthy, slim bodies. And often we do know what to do, and we have done the research, and we know that we have to eat good, healthy, nutritious food. But our emotions take over and we battle to break that connection. And that's when, as I said before, when we're sad, we go to the fridge or the freezer, we grab that tub of ice cream and we finish it all. Right. So I have given you guys some tips in the other videos, how to handle that, how we can start focusing on other things to break that emotional connection. Now, I've also explained to you guys, besides getting rid of that emotional connection and actually finding other ways to de-stress, like exercise and kickboxing. We have lots of fun videos on the site. You guys can go have a look at it. So besides finding other ways to deal with stress, we also have to look at the food we eat. I've explained that in the last video. We look at our macronutrients. We look at maybe the balance between them, how much fat, how much do I have to have the carbohydrates and the proteins? Where do I put it together for a balanced diet? So that's what we looked at last week. Now, this week, we're going to have a look at when we know that we have to include those macronutrients, we have to focus on wholesome, good food. How do we still get to that point that our body is starting to burn the excess fat? Because that is actually what this one is about. We want to get rid of that thin layer of fat that's on top of our muscles, because most of us, we end up working out, we go to the gym, we get fit, but we constantly have that little bit, I would say, puffiness, podginess, that little layer of fat that's just not going away. So I'm going to explain to you guys how we can use the basis of your carbohydrate and fat metabolism basically to burn that excess fat that we have. Now, first of all, make sure that you guys are comfortable. If you need a water, grab a comfy seat, and then we're going to look and we're going to start looking first, just again, at calorie intake. Right, guys, so as I mentioned, we do have to have a calorie deficit when we want to lose weight. Now, we have to be very careful that we don't restrict that calorie intake too much. So we, as ladies, we don't want to go below 1,200 calories of calorie intake in a day. If we do that, we do run the risk of nutrient deficiencies, and we also slow down our metabolic rate. And that is one of the things that we're actually trying to increase here, so that our body can keep burning and keep fueling us for everything that we need in the day. So be sure not to restrict your calorie intake too much. The other problem we have often is that we think, all right, I'm going to not eat that much. I'm going to start my day. I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm just going to have a little cup of tea, and then I'm going to carry on. And then by lunchtime, or we actually just get so busy that we forget to eat. Come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we are starving. And then what do we do when we're starving? We grab anything and everything in sight. And that's when we grab all those pies, donuts, biscuits, we run into the house, or maybe we're even still in the grocery store. So we're doing our shopping, we're buying a chocolate bar on the way because we're starving and we just want to eat something. So the big key here is as well, don't starve yourself during the daytime. That is the time that we actually need fuel and need energy. Now, I know there's a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of fasting diets out there that will give you either a 12 or a 16-hour, 12, 14, 16-hour fast. Generally for ladies, it's recommended not to do more than 12 hours in a fast. But if you guys go and have a look at those fasts, you'll see that most of it is fasting during nighttime. So we don't want to starve in the day. We actually want to have our window of eating during the daylight hours. So if you end up maybe skipping breakfast or you eat a bit later, make sure that at least by lunchtime you break that fast and you eat something healthy. Otherwise, it comes by evening, or late afternoon, 4 o'clock, late evening, and we just overeat. We eat too much, everything inside. We carry on eating till way late at night, at about 10 o'clock. Then we're trying to go to bed. Now we're going to bed with a full stomach, and what happens? Well, we don't sleep well, first of all, because our bodies are busy. they're busy digesting and processing that food. And what they should have done when you go to bed is to actually rest and restore and replenish and make sure that you have a good night's sleep so that you can start the next day fresh. So often if we eat too much too late in the day, then we end up waking very tired the next day. So make sure that you get your calorie intake more during the daylight hours when you need the energy, and that we basically stop eating. A good idea is always, well, it depends on what time you eat dinner. We generally try and eat dinner quite early at about 6 or 7 p.m. So try then to have that as your last meal. The rest of the evening, maybe have some water, a cup of tea, something light. So don't go to bed on a full stomach. It's not very healthy for you. And again, it's not going to be good for your weight loss process. Right. So make sure that we do want to take just enough calories. We will have a calorie deficit when we do want to lose weight. But don't restrict it too much. All right, so sit tight. We're going to have a quick look in the next one about how we balance the fat, the carbs, and the protein, and how we can actually use that fat metabolism to basically, and carbohydrate metabolism, how we can use that to burn the excess fat. Right, guys, so I've told you before that carbohydrates are our main source of energy. Now, during activity, or exercise, or any form that we actually need energy, our body will actually utilize the individual sugar molecules that are found in carbohydrates. And as we store it as humans, it's glycogen. Now, once we actually run out of that, we will need another source of energy, and that's when our bodies will turn to fat and then to protein. Now, if we actually want to lose a little bit of excess fat, we can actually use this principle in the weight loss program and that we want to do, because basically once we've used all the energy that we got from the carbohydrates that we ate, we can then get and use the stored fat as energy. So our body will access all that stored fat to provide us with energy to do the activities that we need in the day. Now, the other good thing that we can also do, I've told you before, that we do need to eat enough protein. Protein is a very important building block for our muscles, our bone, our blood, our cartilage, everything. But we can also use it so when we eat enough protein in the day, we won't be starved, and we're not going to drop below our 1,200 calorie intake that we want to stick to. So we won't be starved, but we can cut down on the carbs. And that way our bodies will obviously use the carbs for energy first, and then it will tap into all that stored fat that we'll use for energy. So we will be able to lose weight by upping our protein intake and just cutting down on the carbohydrates. Now again, we want to have this sort of balance of very little carbs for a while we're actually just in the process of losing the weight. And then once we get to a stable weight and we're comfortable and we're working out a lot, then we actually want to make sure that we do have a good balance between the macronutrients. So remember always, even when we do the good carbs, or when we do carbs, we want to focus on good carbs. So it's important, first of all, that we look at the health side, we look at the nutrition, we see how we can balance and sometimes manipulate a little bit so that we can get to burn all that stored fat. And then once we're at a comfortable, happy weight, we just continue, we keep it balanced. And also, guys, just with exercise and this whole connection with food and exercise, remember that we always want to change it up. So it's very good for your body to do some boxing, do some running, maybe some swimming and cycling. So we always want to change it up. We want to make the body guessing, we want to keep it guessing. And that way we actually end up burning more calories. Now, also the same with food. We do want to be consistent. We want to have a healthy, wholesome diet, but change it up. Otherwise, you guys get bored. We all get bored of little, boiled potatoes and skinless chicken breast and broccoli and those kind of things. Don't be boring. Make it exciting, actually. Be excited and make it exciting. There's a lot of recipes. There's a lot of fun stuff. There's a lot of good combinations that you can do with healthy, good, nutritious food. So there's no excuses, guys. We can always, as I said, there's ways around it. If you don't eat broccoli, but you eat carrots, or you don't eat this and you eat that, make a plan. Play a little bit with spices. Play with flavors. Obviously, we want to stay away from all the oily, greasy sauces, but just play with flavors, make it interesting, and work on your balance there. Again, as I said, guys, there's a lot of information out there. You guys can go and Google it. This was just a quick guide to help you and to maybe just start this journey for you with weight loss and nutrition. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, You will also then be informed when there's other videos. And thank you so much for watching. We're excited that you're here, and please remember also leave your comments and even questions if you have it. And we will see you guys soon.